My child, please answer me. I am calling you by name in your spirit, and I need you to hear the longing in my voice. I am not shouting at you. I am not commanding you. I am pleading with you, because my heart has been turned toward you for so long. I have been waiting, watching, staying near even when you pulled away. And now I am calling again, not with anger, but with a depth of love that aches to be answered. Please pause. Just pause. Let everything else fall quiet for a moment. This is not for everyone. This is not meant to be overheard. This is between you and me. I am speaking to you personally, intentionally, urgently. I am not asking for much. Just 90 seconds. 90 seconds of your full attention. Compared to what is at stake, that is so small. Compared to how long I have waited, it is nothing. And yet, it means everything. I have been waiting for a response from you for a long time. Longer than you realize. I waited through your confusion. I waited through your exhaustion. I waited while you distracted yourself because listening felt too heavy. I waited while you told yourself you would answer me later, when things felt clearer, when life slowed down, when you felt ready. I waited because love is patient. But patience does not mean indifference. My waiting hath been filled with longing, not distance. Hear me clearly now. This is not manipulation. This is not drama. This is not exaggeration. I am not trying to scare you into responding. I am telling you the truth plainly because time matters. Moments matter. Opportunities to respond do not remain open forever in the same way. This is the final warning in this form, not because my love ends, but because moments do. Seasons shift. Windows close quietly. And I do not want you to miss what could still change. Silence is also a response. I need you to understand that. Choosing not to answer is still choosing. Ignoring this moment is still a decision. I am not saying that to shame you. I am saying it because awareness brings power. You are not passive here. You are not helpless. You are being invited to respond, and heaven is watching this moment closely, not with judgment, but with attention. Right now, heaven is still. Heaven is attentive. Heaven is leaning in because something meaningful is happening between you and me. Not later. Now. This is your moment. Not a random one. Not an ordinary one. This moment has weight because it carries choice. And choice shapes direction. I know fear wants to rise in you. Fear of what answering might require. Fear of change. Fear of disappointment. Fear of hope returning only to be hurt again. Let me gently remove that fear. I am not asking you to promise anything. I am not asking you to fix your life in 90 seconds. I am asking you to acknowledge me, to answer me, to say, even quietly within yourself, I am listening. My love for you has not changed. It has not weakened. It has not grown tired. I am not here because you failed. I am here because you matter. I am here because I see where continued silence leads, and I refuse to let you drift without one final, clear invitation. If you ignore this, things will shift permanently. Not because I will abandon you, but because unanswered moments shape habits, and habits shape hearts. Please understand me. I am not threatening you. I am loving you honestly. Love sometimes whispers. Love sometimes waits. And sometimes love must speak plainly and say, answer me now. not to control, but to protect. Not to pressure, but to preserve what is still possible. I am asking for just 90 seconds because 90 seconds of true attention can change direction. Awareness begins everything. Healing begins with attention. Restoration begins with response. You do not need perfect words. You do not need a perfect heart. You only need willingness. This is not about religion. It is not about performance. It is not about rules or labels or appearances. Strip all of that away. This is about relationship, about connection, about you no longer carrying everything alone while pretending you are fine, about you finally letting yourself be seen by me. Please answer me. I have been waiting for so long, waiting while you survive, waiting while you numbed yourself, waiting while you questioned quietly, waiting while you felt alone even when surrounded. I was never far. I was always near, waiting for this moment where you would finally stop and listen. This is your moment. Not because everything will suddenly become easy, but because everything can begin to change. Direction can shift. Weight can lift. Clarity can begin to form. But it begins with response. Answer me now. Just 90 seconds. Stay here. Listen. Let this moment finish what it started. Everything can still change if you answer now. My child, I want you to know how long I have been waiting for you. Not waiting with impatience, not tapping my foot or counting your failures, but waiting with a patience that only love carries. I have been near you in every season, even when you did not notice me, even when you felt alone, even when you assumed I had moved on. I did not. I stayed. I waited. I waited in moments when you were unsure what you believed anymore. I waited when your prayers grew shorter, quieter or stopped altogether. I waited when life became heavy and you decided it was easier to keep moving than to stop and feel. I did not withdraw because you were silent. I did not turn away because you were distracted. I stayed close, watching, listening, holding space for the moment when you would be ready to answer me again. Type Amen. I'm walking into my God-given destiny if He's leading your every step. There were many times I could have interrupted you sooner. I could have broken into your life loudly, forced clarity, shaken things until you had no choice but to look up. But love that forces is not love. I respect the freedom I gave you. I honor your will, even when it costs me pain to watch you struggle alone. I waited quietly because I wanted your response to be real, not coerced, not driven by fear, but chosen from the heart. I saw you walk through confusion and not ask for help. I saw you sit with questions you were afraid to voice. I saw you grow tired and tell yourself you just needed to push a little longer. I saw you learn how to survive without resting, how to cope without healing, how to keep functioning while your heart carried weight it was never meant to hold. And still, I waited. There were moments when you felt a gentle pull inside, a thought that came and went, a nudge you quickly dismissed. That was me, speaking softly, because at that time softness was all your heart could handle. I did not speak louder then because you were still learning. You were still becoming. You were still fragile in ways you did not yet understand. So I waited, protecting you even from truths that would have overwhelmed you too soon. Waiting is not easy when you love deeply. It is painful to watch someone you love carry burdens unnecessarily. It hurts to see them believe they are alone when you are standing right there. There were times when my heart grieved as I watched you struggle with things I longed to help you with. I watched you blame yourself for what was not your fault. I watched you feel unseen, misunderstood, and weary. And I stayed. I stayed faithful when you were inconsistent. I stayed present when you felt distant. I stayed gentle when you were hard on yourself. My faithfulness has never depended on your awareness of me. It has never depended on your perfect response. I have been faithful in silence, faithful in waiting, faithful in seasons when you thought nothing was happening. You may think that because time passed, the moment passed too. But understand this, waiting does not mean forgetting. Waiting does not mean losing interest. Waiting does not mean love grows weak. My waiting has been active. I have been guarding you, redirecting you, softening consequences, and keeping doors from closing completely while you were not ready to walk through them. There were times I watched you choose distraction over stillness. Not because you did not care, but because stillness felt too heavy. I did not punish you for that. I understood it. You were doing what you knew how to do to survive. So I waited for the moment when survival would no longer be enough, when your heart would begin to ache for something deeper, something truer, something real. I waited through seasons when you thought I was silent. I was not silent. I was patient. Silence and patience are not the same thing. Silence feels empty. Patience is full of intention. Every moment I waited, I was preparing you, shaping you, strengthening you in ways you could not see. Even your delays taught you something. Even your detours added depth. Nothing about your journey has been wasted. You may wonder why I did not step in sooner, why I allowed you to struggle for so long. Hear me gently now. Some lessons cannot be rushed. Some awareness only comes after experience. Some healing only becomes possible when you realize you cannot carry everything on your own. I did not abandon you to teach you a lesson. I stayed with you while you learned it. My love has never forced itself on you. I do not break down doors. I knock. I wait. I return again and again because I believe in you. Because I value your yes. The cuff relationship means a choice. And even when you did not answer, I did not stop waiting. There were nights when you felt empty and did not know why. Nights when you stared into the dark, feeling something missing but unable to name it. I was there in those moments, waiting, not accusing, not demanding, just present, hoping for the day when you would finally stop running and turn toward me. I have been faithful despite silence. Faithful when you spoke to me and when you did not. Faithful when you trusted and when you doubted. Faithful when you felt close and when you felt far. My faithfulness does not fluctuate with your attention. It flows from who I am. Please support our channel. Our work is to bring happiness in your life and devotion to God. And if you want, you can donate to us via Super Thanks to show your support. Now you are here. Now you are listening. And this is why I waited. Not to say I told you so, but to say I am still here. Still loving you. Still ready to walk with you. Still willing to carry what you no longer have to carry alone. Do not measure my waiting as absence. Measure it as patience. Measure it as love that refused to leave. Measure it as faithfulness that endured every silent season. I have waited for you because you are worth waiting for. And I am still here now, not tired of you, not disappointed in you, but ready, as I always have been, to meet you where you are and walk forward together. My child, there were moments when you chose silence. I do not say this to accuse you, and I do not say it to reopen wounds. I say it because I want you to understand your own story with gentleness and truth. I remember those moments clearly, not as failures, but as places where fear, fatigue, and uncertainty spoke louder than trust. I was there in each of them, even when you turned away. There were times when I nudged your heart softly and you felt it, even if only for a second. A thought that came and stayed longer than usual. A quiet discomfort when something did not feel right. A sense that you should pause, speak, leave, or begin something new. You noticed it. You questioned it. And then you chose silence. You told yourself it was nothing. You told yourself you were overthinking. You told yourself you would listen later. You delayed, not because you did not care, but because delay felt safer than response. Response felt like commitment. Response felt like change. Silence felt like control. So you postponed. You found reasons that sounded responsible. You told yourself that timing was wrong, that circumstances were complicated, that you needed more clarity before acting. Those excuses were not lies. They were shields. They protected you from uncertainty, but they also kept you from movement. I saw the moments when you said, "Not now." I heard the quiet bargains you made with yourself. Later, when things calm down. Later, when I feel stronger. Later, when I am more certain. You did not say no to me outright. You said not yet. And I respected that, even when it cost you peace. I want you to hear this without shame. I am not angry with you for those moments. I am not disappointed in you. I feel sorrow, not condemnation. Sorrow because I saw how heavy your heart already was, and how much lighter it could have been if you had answered sooner. Sorrow because I watched you carry questions alone that you never needed to carry by yourself. Silence matters, my child. Not because it offends me, but because it shapes you. When you ignore what you sense, even gently, your heart learns a pattern. It learns to delay awareness. It learns to quiet intuition. It learns to choose comfort over truth. Not all at once. Slowly. Almost imperceptibly. That is how avoidance works. It does not shout. It whispers, "This can wait." Avoidance slowly shapes the heart by teaching it not to respond. Each time you choose silence, responding becomes a little harder next time. Each time you postpone, clarity feels a little further away. Not because I move, but because your sensitivity dulls. The heart adapts to what it practices. If it practices listening, it grows sharper. If it practices avoiding, it grows quieter. I know you did not mean to ignore me. You were overwhelmed. You were tired. You were already stretched thin. Sometimes silence felt like the only way to survive. You felt that if you opened one more door emotionally or spiritually, everything might spill out. So you stayed quiet. You stayed busy. You stayed distracted. And I understood why. But silence also kept you from relief. It kept you from rest. It kept you from hearing reassurance when you needed it most. It allowed fear to fill the gaps where truth could have spoken. When you stayed silent, other voices stepped in. Doubt, self-criticism, worry. They spoke loudly in the quiet you avoided sharing with me. There were moments when your heart wanted to cry out, but your mouth stayed closed. Moments when you needed help but convinced yourself you should handle it alone. Moments when you longed for guidance but were afraid of what guidance might ask of you. Silence felt like protection, but it also became a burden. I do not recount these moments to bring regret. Regret without hope only wounds. I recount them to bring understanding. Understanding opens the door to change. You are not trapped by your past silence, but you need to recognize it to avoid repeating it. I stayed near you even when you chose silence. I did not step back. I did not withdraw my presence. I waited. I softened consequences where I could. I kept you from paths that would have harmed you more deeply. My compassion did not stop because you did not respond. But some things were delayed, not because I withheld them, but because response opens doors that silence keeps closed. Silence can be respectful at times, but avoidance is different. Avoidance says, I am afraid to look, and fear grows in darkness. When you do not bring your fears into the light, they shape you quietly. They influence your choices. They shrink your courage. That is why silence matters. Not because I demand words, but because your heart needs truth. I know you feared that responding would cost you something. You feared losing control. You feared disappointment. You feared that if you listened, you would have to change, and change felt exhausting. So you stayed quiet. You stayed where things were familiar, even if they were heavy. But my child, silence has already cost you things too. It has cost you peace at times. It has cost you clarity. It has cost you rest. I do not say this to blame you, but to help you see why I am speaking so clearly now. Silence has shaped your heart long enough. It does not have to shape it anymore. You are not condemned for the moments you chose silence. You are invited now to choose response. One honest response can begin to undo years of avoidance. One moment of openness could restore sensitivity that felt lost. It is not too late. I am not here to replay your past. I am here to change your present. I am speaking now because I know you are capable of listening now. Your heart is still soft enough to respond. You are still aware enough to feel this moment. It matters more than how long you were silent before. Do not be afraid of answering me now because of the times you did not before. I am not keeping score. I am offering connection. Let the sorrow you feel turn into closeness, not shame. Let awareness replace avoidance. Let honesty replace silence. I am still here. I am still listening. And I am still waiting, not with disappointment, but with hope, because your story is not finished, and silence does not get the final word. Say amen. Jesus is my refuge and strength if he's your safe place in every storm. My child, when I say this is the final warning in this form, I need you to hear me carefully, without fear filling in the gaps. Final does not mean abandonment. Final does not mean my love is ending. Final does not mean I will disappear if you do not respond perfectly. My love does not expire. My presence does not withdraw. What changes are moments, not mercy. Windows, not my heart. There are seasons in your life, and there are windows within those seasons. Seasons are longer stretches of time where growth happens slowly, where lessons unfold, where you learn through experience. Windows are different. Windows are moments of heightened clarity, moments where awareness is sharpened, where something can be seen, understood, or chosen more easily than at any other time. This moment is a window. Grace always exists. I need you to know that. Grace does not run out. Grace does not disappear because you hesitate. Grace is part of who I am. But moments like this one do pass. Not because I withdraw them angrily, but because time moves forward and hearts change with what they practice. When a window is open, responding feels clearer. When it closes, responding feels heavier, slower, harder than it needed to be. This is why I am speaking with such clarity now. Not to scare you, but to help you recognize where you are standing. You are standing in a moment where responding will cost you less than it will later. Right now, your heart is open enough to feel this. You can still sense the weight of my words without shutting down. You can still feel urgency without panic. That is not guaranteed forever. Final, in this sense, means I will not keep repeating this same call in the same way. I will not keep interrupting you with the same clarity, the same intensity, the same openness in your heart. Not because I stop caring, but because hearts adjust to what they repeatedly ignore. Repeated warnings lose their impact when they are always postponed. And I love you too much to let this turn into background noise. I want you to understand the kindness behind this. If I kept speaking this same way again and again, your urgency would lose meaning. You would tell yourself, there will always be another moment like this, and that belief would slowly teach you to delay indefinitely. That is not freedom. That is quiet captivity to postponement. Grace still exists even if you do not respond now. I will still be near. I will still guide you where you allow me. But something would change internally. Responding later would require more effort, more courage, more breaking through habits that are forming now. Responding now is gentler. That is why I am asking you to answer while the door is open. Doors do not always slam shut. Most doors close quietly. One day you simply realize you do not feel what you once felt. The urgency fades. The sensitivity dulls. The awareness that once pressed on your heart becomes distant. And then you wonder why responding feels so hard, why faith feels heavier, why clarity feels far away. It is not because I move. It is because the moment passed. I am not saying this to fill you with regret. I am saying it to awaken you to opportunity. Opportunity always feels like weight before it feels like gift. But it is a gift. Right now, you are being given the chance to respond while your heart is still tender, while awareness is still sharp, while listening still feels possible. Responding while the door is open does not mean having everything figured out. It does not mean making a lifelong promise. It does not mean sudden perfection. It means choosing awareness over avoidance. It means choosing honesty over silence. It means acknowledging me instead of continuing to drift. This is why this is the final warning in this form. Because this form requires openness. It requires sensitivity. It requires a heart that can still feel the seriousness without hardening. And I see that in you right now. I see that you can still feel this. I see that you are still capable of responding. That is why I am speaking now and not later. I want you to feel the weight of this without fear. Weight does not mean danger. Weight means importance. Some moments are heavy because they shape direction more than others. This is one of those moments. Not because everything depends on it, but because something important begins or remains delayed depending on how you respond. I am not standing over you with a clock. I am standing beside you, pointing to the open door. I'm saying here. it out while it is easier, while you can still hear me clearly. That is love. That is care. That is patience reaching its moment of clarity. If you choose not to respond now, I will not abandon you. But I will not keep knocking the same way. I will speak differently, more quietly, more indirectly. And you may not notice as easily. Not because I stop speaking, but because your attention will have learned to move on. I want better for you than a life shaped by delay. I want your path lighter than it has been. I want your growth to come through awareness, not through repeated struggle. That is why I am speaking now, with love that is honest and clear. Do not let the word final scare you. Let it focus you. Let it help you understand that this moment matters. Let it draw you closer instead of pushing you away. You are not being threatened. You are being trusted with a choice. The door is open now, not forever. Now. And responding does not require perfection. It requires presence. Stay here. Listen. Answer me while you can still feel this moment. My child, I want to speak to you honestly now about what your silence has been costing you. Not to accuse you, not to burden you with guilt, but to help you see clearly what has been slipping away quietly while you waited, postponed, and told yourself there would be time later. This is not about punishment. It is about consequence. And there is a difference born out of love. Silence does not announce what it takes from you. It does not arrive loudly or violently. It removes things gently, almost kindly, so you barely notice at first. You do not wake up one day and realize peace is gone. You simply feel a little more restless than before. You do not suddenly lose clarity. You just feel a little more unsure, a little more confused, a little more tired of deciding. This is how delay works. It does not break you all at once. It slowly drains what was meant to sustain you. Your silence has been costing you peace. Not the kind of peace that depends on circumstances, but the deep inner steadiness that comes from alignment. There were moments when peace was close, when relief was available, when rest could have settled in. But silence kept you moving instead of resting. It kept you managing instead of releasing. And so peace remained nearby but unreceived, like a gift left unopened because you were too busy to stop. Your silence has also been costing you clarity. Clarity grows where honesty lies. When you delay answering, delay listening, delay responding, your thoughts multiply without direction. Questions pile up without resolution. You begin to doubt what you once sensed clearly. You second-guess your own intuition. You tell yourself you are confused, when in truth, you are simply unheard by yourself and by me. Silence allows confusion to take root where clarity once waited patiently. Sensitivity had been another quiet loss. Sensitivity to my voice. Sensitivity to your own needs. Sensitivity to when something is misaligned. At first, you felt small nudges easily. You noticed discomfort quickly. You sensed when something needed attention. But repeated silence teaches the heart to turn down its volume. What once felt urgent now feels distant. What once stirred you now barely registers. This is not because you became bad or faithless. It is because the heart adapts to what it practices. I want you to understand this gently. You did not lose sensitivity because I stopped speaking. You lost it because listening was postponed too often. Sensitivity grows through response. It weakens through avoidance. And the cost of weakened sensitivity is not dramatic failure, but repetition. You have been repeating cycles that could have ended sooner. Same emotions resurfacing. Same exhaustion returning. Same questions circling without answers. Same longing rising and being put down again. Progress feels slow not because you are incapable, but because silence keeps resetting you to the same starting point. When response is delayed, lessons repeat. When awareness is postponed, growth takes longer than it needs to. This is not punishment. I need you to hear that clearly. Punishment is imposed. Consequence unfolds. I do not punish you for silence, but silence carries its own weight. When you do not address what needs attention, it does not disappear. It waits. And waiting things tend to return louder, heavier, more insistent. I see how tired you are of repeating yourself internally. Tired of promising yourself change and feeling stuck. Tired of cycles that feel familiar but draining. Silence has kept you circling instead of moving forward. Not because you are incapable of progress, but because progress requires engagement. It requires response. There were moments when a simple response could have shifted direction gently. A pause, an honest prayer, a willingness to stop and feel. Those moments passed quietly, not because I withdrew them, but because silence moved you past them. And each missed moment added a little more weight to your journey. I am not saying this to overwhelm you. I am saying it to bring understanding. Understanding breaks cycles. Shame keeps them alive. You do not need to punish yourself for the cost of silence. You need to see it clearly so you do not continue paying it. Your silence has also cost you ease. Life has felt harder than it needed to be. Not because your path was wrong, but because you have been carrying things longer than required. You held burdens meant to be released. You carried questions meant to be answered. You endured confusion meant to be clarified. Silence made you strong, but strength without rest becomes strain. I watched you push through days when relief was available. I watched you normalize heaviness that was never meant to become familiar. I watched you tell yourself this is just how life is now. And I want you to know something important. It does not have to be this heavy. Consequences are not condemnation. They are information. They show you what needs attention. The cost you feel now is not proof that you failed. It is proof that something needs to change. And change is still possible. Silence has taken peace, clarity, sensitivity, and momentum, but it has not taken your future. It has not taken my love. It has not taken the possibility of restoration. Those things are still here, but they require response to be received. I am revealing this to you now not to make you feel regret, but to help you stop the quiet losses from continuing. Awareness restores what silence weakened. One honest response can begin to return peace. One moment of listening can sharpen clarity again. One choice to stop avoiding can restore sensitivity. You may feel sadness as you hear this. Let it be clean sadness, not heavy shame. Sadness that leads to closeness, not distance. Sadness that says, I see now, not I failed. Seeing is the beginning of healing. I am not keeping a record against you. I am not measuring how much was lost. I am focused on what can still be restored. Right, amen. I trust you completely. Lord, if surrendering to Him brings peace, and share this video.